Hello. For our lesson today, I'll be taking you through composition, one of the aspects of English language. And we'll be looking at narrative essay. Narrative essay. That is story writing. Okay, or it can also be that you are being asked to narrate something you have witnessed. In doing that, you need to state it in a way that you will be understood. So that's the chronological order. So one major objective for our lesson today is that the learner will be able to creatively put events in chronological order. The learner will be able to creatively put events in chronological order. Okay, so for narrative essay, one of the main aspect we want to mainly base our lesson on is plot. Plot here does not mean a piece of land. In story writing, when we say plot, we mean a different thing. It is the sequential arrangement of events of a piece of writing. The sequential arrangement of events of a piece of writing. Okay. It means that the events are told or are narrated in a way where it starts from a point, it continues to a stage, and then it ends somewhere. I hope that is clear. So every narrative has three major parts the story revolves about. Every narrative has three major parts. So just like a tree has three main parts, for story writing, we are going to put it in three major parts. I hope you can guess what these parts are. The parts of a story, of a narrative essay. Okay, so they are the beginning, the middle, and the ending. The beginning, the middle, and the ending. So with these three major parts, it does not mean that our story should just be based on 3 paragraphs. We have passed that stage. We want to consider these parts carefully. Okay, for the beginning, we can have that in a paragraph. Then when we get to the middle, we need to break our storyline in at least 3 to 4 paragraphs. Then the ending will also take 1. So at least we have 5 to 6 paragraphs for a nice story. I hope that is clear. Okay, so what is the beginning of a story? When we say the beginning, what should it be about? What does it entail? So for the beginning of a story, the story mostly should introduce characters at the beginning. The writer should be able to introduce characters, if not all, at least 1 or 2 characters should begin the story. Okay, so since the character is at a place, it is worth mentioning that. So when you mention the character, you can also mention the place where the person stays or where the person lives. If the person is with a family, if the person is alone, if the person is in a remote area, the person is in a city, in a town, you mention that in the beginning. This is to help the reader imagine. Okay, it is to help the reader imagine. Okay, so that's the geographical setting. Setting is the place and time of event. The place and time of event. It is very necessary that we introduce that in the beginning, at least for the reader or the audience to be able to follow the story. So example, we can have a beginning like, in a very remote town in the northern region lived a farmer and his family. In a very remote town in the northern region lived a farmer and his family. So with this example, this is just a line anyway. This is just a line or a sentence. We have introduced the place. We have also introduced a character. Okay, so the reader can guess. Okay, the reader can guess. Is that clear? Okay. Or we can also have an introduction where we keep the reader in suspense. This is the most interesting part of story writing, where you keep the reader in suspense. You introduce perhaps a line which gives just a background check on what exactly you want to talk about. So like you have this: life indeed is what we make out of it. It was not surprising seeing Abiba, the poor farmer's daughter, bringing hope to her family after many years of hardship. So the reader is able to gather some information, okay? Some information. Making the piece of writing lively. And so you are able to carry your audience on till you complete your story. I hope we all can try this as the beginning of our story, where we can come out with something creatively just to put our readers at the edge of yearning for more. All right. Now when we come to the middle part, this part of the story moves the story to the end. Here the events are expected to unfold. The story cannot be stagnant. You must learn to state that an event happened, another thing happened. That is how, when we say event unfolding, that is what it means. So the writer should convincingly outline the story. So before you start writing the story, you should come out with what exactly want your story should be about. Okay, so you mentioned a character. What about the character do you want us to know? Okay, what are some of the challenges? What are some of the things at the disposal of the character? Is the character going to make good use of it, or the character is going to find difficulty in overcoming these challenges? Okay, so you learn to organize your story outline properly, so that when you start writing, you know what exactly you are stating. So let's look at the example we have here. It says that so we can have this in at least 3 to 4 paragraphs. Arrange the story systematically. So one, you want to talk about education. Okay, so maybe if you introduce a character, you want to create an environment where you have the school environment. So we are going to have the education. What is it about the person's education? Did the parent really contribute towards education? Did the character face any challenge that is from friends, peer influence, or was there any strong will to overcome it? Then you also introduce other characters. Since you introduce a new place, certainly it means that the main character of your story is going to have other influence from other characters. So that is how your story unfolds. Then you can also have another story outline. Maybe that would be your second paragraph for the middle of your story, where the main character does what the main character does after school. Okay, maybe after school already we stated that the person is coming from an area where it is far, okay, where they are facing lots of challenges. So if the character comes back from, so what exactly does the character do? Does the character do something that helps her to attain that height of success in education, or is the character just okay with situation, would like to? So in writing this, you keep the introduction in mind. What do you think your story is about? Already we said in the introduction that the character is coming from a poor background, okay, but we in the first line we said that it was not surprising seeing about the poor farmer's daughter bringing hope to her. It means that despite her hard condition, she was able to make it. So when telling the story, don't forget what you stated at the beginning, so that you don't mislead your reader. Okay, so what the main character does after school, you can introduce a character who will play a key role in pushing your character to her dream. So you bring to light a character that will influence your main character positively in order to make you achieve what you want from your story or out of your story. Okay. So you should bear in mind that your character is likely to have challenges which you must tackle in the story as it unfolds. Since this is the third paragraph of the middle of your story, you must gradually lead the listener or reader to the end. What it means is that as you unfold the story, when the story is coming to an end, the one reading will know that okay, the story is gradually coming to an end. You don't end the story abruptly. It makes the reader not clear with situations. So a good writer leads the reader or audience gradually to the end of the story. Okay, so a narrative should follow chronological order. This is where time will permit us. We have briefly looked at story writing, that's narrative, and we have mentioned that the story, every narrative has a beginning, it has a middle and an ending. We have not spoken or we have not touched on the ending. We have only ended on the middle. And so what we are going to do for our assignment is that we are going to write a story on our own creatively. Create a story, and I want you to identify the beginning and the middle. So the middle should be of at least 2 paragraphs, and then the beginning. Then with that, when we meet another time, we'll continue from there. I hope that is clear. Okay. So thanks so much for having me once again. We'll meet another time with a continuation of the lesson we have started. Be safe. Bye-bye.